Good evening, it's 8 o'clock. I'm Sally Burdett, live from Johannesburg. Your top stories this evening. Local carrier Comair grounds the new 737 MAX 8, the same aircraft model that crashed in Addis Ababa on Sunday.
What you have demonstrated to us is an embarrassment.
5 teens have appeared in court over an East Rand school bullying incident, and a stern warning from MEC Panyaza Lesufi that this behaviour will not be tolerated. 2 people dead and 3 still missing after heavy rains and flooding in parts of KwaZulu-Natal. But we start here. There's growing concern this evening about the Boeing 737 MAX 8. The Ethiopian Airlines crash is the second in 6 months involving this particular model. Now, local carrier Comair, which operates British Airways and Kulula in South Africa, has made an about turn, announcing it will, after all, be grounding the Boeing 737 MAX 8 in its fleet. Aviwe Mtila has the latest.
Aircraft manufacturer Boeing faces heavy scrutiny over the safety of its 737 MAX 8 jet as Ethiopian Airlines joined carriers in China and Cayman Island in grounding the planes. This after an Ethiopian Airlines plane crashed on Sunday, killing all 157 people on board. Ethiopian Airlines has confirmed that the black box and the cockpit voice recorder had both been received from the wreckage. This means the cause of the crash could soon be determined. Back home, the South African Civil Aviation Authority has confirmed that there are 2 registered models of the aircraft in question. One is currently operational. Initially, Comair issued a statement saying it would continue flying its Boeing 737 MAX 8 aircraft, but now it's flying in a different direction, well, so to speak anyway. The company says the safety of its customers and crew remains a priority. Comair says it cannot speculate on the cause of the accident until a full investigation has been conducted. This is the second fatal crash in 5 months involving the same aircraft.
It makes sense for airlines to ground their 737 MAXs until they know exactly what the case is. But it also needs to be pointed out that proper training systems have been put in place to allow for this possible aberration in the autopilot's trim system. Pilots are trained how to deal with it.
In a statement released on Sunday, the manufacturers of the aircraft said they'd send a team to provide assistance at the crash scene. Aviwe Mtila, Johannesburg.
The 157 victims on board the doomed Ethiopian Airlines flight came from over 30 nations. 21 of the people on board were United Nations staff. A moment of silence was held inside the UN headquarters in New York today to remember those who died. The UN Secretary-General Antonio Guterres described the crash as a global tragedy.
Yesterday's terrible air crash in Ethiopia took the lives of all those on board, including at least 21 of our UN colleagues, according to the latest information, not to mention an undetermined number of people that has been working close to the UN. A global tragedy as it close to home, and the United Nations is united in grief. I extend my deepest condolences to the families and loved ones of all the victims, to the government of people of Ethiopia and all these affected by this disaster.
Let's go live to New York now and talk to our correspondent there, William Denzelo. Good evening to you, William. Now, this was a popular diplomatic route, if you will, between Nairobi and Addis Ababa. What were the UN people on board involved with? Were there many different agencies?
Yeah, Sally, what we understand so far, we've heard from the Secretary-General as well as his spokesperson, Stefan Dujarric, who says that this figure of 21 members that worked for various United Nations agencies is potentially fluid, could still change. But at the moment, the UN say that these 21 workers worked for around 10 different agencies. Now, according to the latest figures provided by the United Nations, we believe that the agency that suffered the heaviest loss of life came in the World Food Programme, where 7 of their staffers are believed to have died. But as you so rightly mentioned, this is an incredibly important and incredibly well-used trafficking route for diplomats, and these 10 aid agencies involve various programs, the International Refugee Agency, migration agencies, as well as the UN mission in Somalia as well, just to name a few. So this is seen by the United Nations as one of the most significant loss of lives that the UN has seen.
What of Boeing? We know the share price is dropping. We're seeing that a number of countries have decided to ground that particular model for the time being, the latest being Kame, one of our local carriers. What are the US authorities saying? Because, of course, if they move to ground this flight or this particular model, that will have a huge impact, I would imagine.
Absolutely. Of course, the share price at the moment is down around 6.5%, so having a huge impact not only on Boeing, but also a number of US carriers in the US and around the world. It's estimated that there are around 350 of these planes in circulation. There are plans to have as many as 5,000 around the world when they're eventually produced and shipped off to various airlines across the globe. So this seemed incredibly significant, but as far as we understand it, investigations are still very much underway in their primary stages. Boeing themselves said that they are sending investigators to look into what exactly happened, and we're seeing really a range of reactions coming from airlines around the world. Of course, the decision in South Africa, as you so rightly mentioned, Indonesian as well as Chinese authorities have made a similar decision, but some of the major US airlines at this stage are believing to very much hold a wait-and-see approach.
Thank you very much. That's our correspondent in New York, William Denzler. Well, a social media poll conducted on our sister channel, ENCA, a little earlier this afternoon, showed that most respondents are very nervous to travel on this new Boeing 737 MAX. We asked, would you fly in one of these planes? 22% of you said yes, but 72% of you said no. Only 6% of you said that you would use that particular plane in an emergency. Moving on now, school bullies are an embarrassment to the country and need to be made an example of. That's the stern warning from Gauteng Education MEC Panyaza Lesufi today. He's described the assault of a female pupil at Crystal Park High School last week as attempted murder. A video of her being hit and kicked by a group of girls has gone viral. 5 children have appeared in court so far on assault charges linked to that video. Here's our reporter, Masego Ratlacha.
ENCA spoke to the father of the young girl assaulted. He doesn't want to appear on camera, but says his child is deeply traumatized. The father says although those who attacked his daughter must be dealt with, he doesn't want their punishment to be too harsh as they're all still young. He says the teen will now be taken out of her current school and enrolled in another school as soon as the new term starts. The teenager's father and aunt say seeing this video has broken their hearts. They say all they want to concentrate on now is to protect the young girl and focus on her emotional well-being. Education MEC Panyaza Lesufi addressed pupils at the school during assembly on Monday.
What you have demonstrated to us is an embarrassment. So we have taken the following decisions. All those that have been identified in that video, we support the decision taken by the SGB to suspend them immediately.
Police say 3 more pupils have been taken in for questioning.
We have arrested 5 suspects, of which the 3 appeared last week Friday at the Benoni Magistrate Court, and they are due to appear back again in court on the 18th of June.
The Education Department says it will be monitoring the school for the remainder of the year. Masego Ratlacha, Crystal Park in Benoni.
Moving to KwaZulu-Natal, a father and his 6-year-old daughter have died in the flooding around Durban. 3 people are still missing. Thousands of people from KwaMashu, Inanda and Ntuzuma have lost their homes and are staying in community halls tonight. Our reporter Tuba Vilani has the latest on the devastating impact of the flooding.
The heavy rain left destruction in its wake. Thousands of people had to be evacuated. Many lost all their belongings.
I-TV, i-fridge, osofa konke nje yonakele into ukudla kubolile efrijini akukho nje okulungile amabhakede empuphu aginqike phansi asinakudla asinazi ingubo zokugqoka osofa kubole yonke into la endlini.
Some paid for the downpours with their lives.
2 fatalities have been reported by the police. We are still waiting for the update on other missing persons before we can say whether they are deceased or what is happening.
The search for 3 missing people continues. This river here in KwaMashu is believed to be partially blamed for the damage caused.
Ngesikhathi kwakhiwa leli bridge esimiphezulu kwalo bahamba bayokhalela bridge lengilikhombayo bathi temporary bridge kwabasakha leli bridge ukwenzela ukuthi imoto zikwazi ukcross uma sebeqeda leli bridge bangalisusa la bridge leli temporary manje amanzi meqhamuka lapha afika avimbeke lapha abesiyadiverteka abheke indlela.
In Amawodi next to Inanda, hundreds have been displaced and are now temporarily housed here. Mop-up operations are underway. Thuba Vilane, KwaMashu.
Let's have a look at other stories making headlines today. Charges have been withdrawn against one adult suspect in connection with the murder of Thoriso Temane. Now, Temane was filmed being brutally assaulted in Polokwane. He died later in hospital. 2 other suspects in their 30s were granted bail in the Polokwane Magistrates Court today. 7 teenagers also linked to this case are set to appear before a magistrate on Thursday. A 36-year-old man appeared today in the Pretoria Magistrates Court in connection with the murder of Matwetwe film star Sibusiso Kwinana. The court stopped the media from filming the suspect as the accused has not yet gone through an ID parade. The matter will continue in May pending further investigations. Taxi operators will lose R6.5 million a day if the Gauteng Transport MEC's proposed shutdown goes ahead. That's according to a group of taxi drivers who call themselves the Alliance for Transformation for All. MEC Ishmael Vadi wants to close several Soweto taxi routes because of violence. Taxi operators have blockaded roads in the Johannesburg CBD in protest. They're also calling for Vadi to resign. 3 people have died and several others have been injured in violence between rival taxi groups in recent days. Still ahead on E-News, the President comments on the damning report into the abuse at the State Security Agency. And we also have international news, including a story from Colombia of a dramatic rescue of a 63-year-old woman. Let's move now to the damning findings of a report into the State Security Agency that was released over the weekend by the President. Now, the review panel was set up in June last year to assess the security agency. The report found that former President Jacob Zuma abused the country's intelligence services for his own political gain. Zuma took to Twitter saying he was not asked questions by the panel investigating the State Security Agency. Well, this morning, the President was on the campaign trail in downtown Johannesburg. He was asked to comment on the report.
No, the report is out. I mean, that is the high-level panel's report, and it is now being discussed. And actually, it has been discussed thoroughly by the people in the state agency itself. And it's good to be transparent and to let these things come out so that we can repair whatever damage has been done in the past. So I'm very relaxed that we're now on a really good and strong path, and this is how we continue to build the state. Statecraft is about making sure that you repair whatever damage has been done and you move forward, never looking backwards too much.
Let's take a quick look at the markets now, and the JSE closed barely in the positive today, largely due to a positive performance from heavyweight Naspers, while banks came under some pressure from earnings reports. Absa led the bank losses. It was down 3.1%. Gold miners battled on the day with a lower gold price. They were down more than 3%, with platinum and diversified miners in the green. Gold continues to weaken as the dollar was stronger overall. Brent crude oil is almost a percentage point stronger compared to overnight levels. And the rand was slightly firmer against global currencies this afternoon, coming off a 2-month low to the dollar. And the dollar has been put under some pressure. Let's look at international news now. The Colombian Air Force performed a daring rescue of a 63-year-old German woman from a remote mountainous area of a national park. A Black Hawk helicopter landed on the high slopes of the Nevado de Tolima and took the woman to the city of Armenia. Mexico's Popocatépetl volcano unleashed a powerful explosion last night, sending material into the air and down its slopes. The natural fireworks show consisted of a spectacular flash of light, followed by dazzling red-hot lava spilling out from the crater and down the mountainside. Ahead, we'll go to Louis at our weather centre for your live weather report. And then we're talking beer, Jeffrey. It's bright and hoppy, but also bitter. We tell you about a beer getting people talking in a Paris pub. Let's go down to Cape Town. Louis Fernandez standing by with your latest weather. Good evening to you, Louis. And I have to ask, first of all, after those tragic floods in KwaZulu-Natal, is it still raining down there?
Good evening, Sally. Well, things have settled down in KwaZulu-Natal today, but there is a bit more rain on the cards as we head into tomorrow, and I'll show you a bit more of that in just a moment. But there's also been flooding for other parts of the country, in particular in the Western Cape's Overberg area. This is what the N2 between Caledon and Riviersonderend looked like earlier this morning after over 150 millimetres of rain overnight. And then there were also severe thunderstorms in the central interior, including parts of the Northern Cape. This was funded Kloof this afternoon. Taking a look at what's going on over South Africa as we head into tomorrow, the cut-off low responsible for this wild weather will be exiting to the south of the country. So we're going to be keeping a close eye on it because it looks as though it could still bring in a resurgence of heavier rainfall to that same area, especially in the morning. So we will be keeping a close eye on those parts, while showers and thunderstorms will be spreading across KwaZulu-Natal in the early parts of Tuesday morning. The afternoon will see a bit more settled weather conditions, but we will have thunder showers redeveloping over the central and eastern interior of South Africa. So a bit more rain expected for some places. In the detailed forecast, we see thunder showers for some areas in the Northern Cape, and those same places can expect a windy afternoon. The Western Cape will see showers and thunderstorms, perhaps a few lighter showers for Cape Town, but the chances are relatively low for your area. Showers and thunderstorms as well for the Eastern Cape. Those are going to be scattered closer to the Drakensberg, but isolated elsewhere. And then for KwaZulu-Natal, as we've just seen, showers and thunderstorms possible first thing in the morning, and we could even see a few thunder showers later on in the afternoon, but it will be generally quite warm in the province. Similar into Mpumalanga, 23 degrees for eMakhazeni and Ermelo, and in Limpopo it's going to be a mostly dry day, perhaps just a little bit of drizzle along the escarpment areas at first. In the northwest, a few thunder showers for this province, but somewhat drier over the area. Although in the Free State there is still up to a 60% chance of thunderstorms, especially for the areas in the far south and east, including Zastron and Bethlehem. And then finally for Gauteng, it's going to be another warm day under partly cloudy skies, and again isolated thunder showers possible in the province. A quick look ahead to what Wednesday brings to your parts of South Africa, and it's going to be a much more settled day over the country, mostly dry, just a few thunder showers closer to the Drakensberg. And then on Thursday, thunderstorms return to parts of the Cape provinces and a few showers possible for Port Elizabeth and a high of 24 degrees. That's all from the Weather Centre. It's back to you, Sally.
Thank you very much, Louis. And finally, it's been described as light and hoppy, but also bitter. It's called the Brexit Blonde. Now, this beer being sold at a Paris pub was inspired by the 2016 UK referendum, where Britain voted to leave the European Union. The barman at the pub said he tells anti-Brexit customers that the beer was originally brewed in Scotland, which voted to remain in the EU, and that's why it's so bitter. It's a reflection of the brewers' sentiments post-referendum. If British Prime Minister Theresa May is looking for some Dutch courage at the start of a week of crucial Brexit votes, she need look no further than this pub, where the Brexit Blonde is proving quite a hit. Let's recap your top story before we go. Local carrier Comair grounds the use of the new 737 MAX, the same aircraft model that crashed in Ethiopia on Sunday.
What you have demonstrated to us is an embarrassment.
5 teens have appeared in court over an East Rand school bullying incident. A stern warning there from the MEC, Panyaza Lesufi, that this behaviour will not be tolerated. 2 people dead, 3 still missing after heavy rains and flooding in parts of KwaZulu-Natal. And that's your news from me and the team. It's a very good night.